Hi everyone, my name is Raylan Hawkins. My partner's name is Mariah O'Hare. Together we did a PowerPoint presentation on cloud computing. I'm going to present the first half of the PowerPoint and then she's going to present the second half. So I'm just going to switch over to the PowerPoint. Again, our presentation is Data in the Clouds, Cloud Computing in Healthcare by Raylan and Mariah. To begin, how does your facility store information? We were going to actually ask this question at the face-to-face presentation, but I guess we won't be able to find out the answer to this right now. So one storage option is in the cloud. What is cloud computing? Cloud computing is a model for enabling convenient, on-demand network access to a shared pool of configurable computing sources that can be rapidly provisioned and released with minimal management effort or service provider interaction. There are three different types of clouds. There is private, public, and hybrid. The public cloud is a type that most people refer to when they're thinking about the cloud. It's a pay-as-you-go service ran by providers like Amazon, Google, Microsoft, or IBM. I use the cloud almost every day. I have my iPhone and all my stuff is stored in the cloud. The nice thing about this is I can access everything on my MacBook that is on my phone and vice versa. It's nice because I can pull up my computer desktop right on my phone on the go. It just sucks typing or editing anything on that little screen. The second type, private, is one that a business has sole access to infrastructure resources. Unlike the public cloud, the private cloud provides greater security since one company is the only one who has access to it. And hybrid is just what it sounds like, a mix of the two. In this cloud, customers can store data in the private cloud while running an application on a public cloud. This brings up the last point, whether these clouds can provide adequate data privacy and security to protect PHI is debatable. Moving on to the next slide is advantages. Some advantages listed on this slide are paying only for using the service. It can expand for volume and storage purpose at a rapid pace. It provides immediate access from anywhere at any time, and it is resilient to natural disasters. As I mentioned in the previous slide, you can use a pay-as-you-go service. Another great aspect is that you don't have to store all the files on hard drives that can take up a bunch of space. Next, I'm going to show you guys a YouTube video on the advantages of cloud computing.
Meet Alan. Alan is an IT manager in a hospital downtown. He loves his job. He knows that with his support, doctors and nurses can do their job better. All he has to do is make sure the servers are always running. Keep the medical applications up to date so that doctors and nurses can easily find health records and spend more time on providing care to their patients. Okay, that's not an easy job, and it's becoming more and more expensive for his hospital. Fortunately, Alan remembers meeting Jack, his old colleague, who was talking about cloud computing.
Our hospital servers were simply not reliable anymore, and the maintenance costs were rising, so we switched to cloud computing. Now all our data and health records are stored in the cloud, so they're accessible from anywhere. It's easy for doctors to consult results with specialists and keep better track of patients' recovery. The data is safely stored in the cloud and won't get lost in case of server breakdown.
Of course, Alan wanted to know more about how much the hospital invested in such technology.
Nothing at all. Cloud computing comes with a pay-as-you-go model, so we only pay for the cloud capacity and services we really use. No more upfront investments in servers, zero maintenance costs, and high savings on energy costs.
That's just what Alan needed. Every healthcare facility can now benefit from cloud computing. Visit and discover how the EC is fostering the adoption of cloud computing in the healthcare sector.
So on the flip side, there are some disadvantages to using the cloud. Costs can skyrocket if it fails to monitor and manage access to the cloud. Performance depends on the internet speed at the facility as well as the number of people in the cloud. It relies on the internet altogether, which most facilities should have, but you never know. And the level of privacy is in question on how safe and secure storing data in the cloud really is. To finish up my half of the PowerPoint is applications that exist in the cloud. These are the servers, actual applications that the facility uses, storage spaces, databases, and more. Mariah is going to be next, and she's going to present the second half of the PowerPoint. Thank you.
So why facilities should consider using cloud computing is it keeps costs down, it's easy to implement, it automatically updates, and it is easily accessible for employees. So how to get started in cloud computing is understand what the cloud means to you and what you need it to use it for. Number 2, know the different options available to you. So there are many different contractors that have cloud computing as a thing that facility can purchase. So organizations that use cloud services typically use more robust paid services, and they're billed like utilities. Just as a homeowner is billed for water and electricity, organizations are billed for cloud services used. Number 3, understand that scaling is a skill, not a default. So it is something that you need to look at in your facility in order to have enough space and how many people are going to be using this. Number 4, implement a disaster plan. In case you cannot reach this PHI or important information that's in the cloud, how are you going to get to it if that's the only location? Are you going to have separate locations in order to be able to reach this? What are you going to do? Number 5, don't be naive. Make sure you have a cloud that works for your facility. Number 6, budget for specific use case. So who's going to be able to access the cloud? More people accessing the cloud means more of a price in order for people to be able to access it. Are you able to afford this? Number 7, choose provider based on your needs. Don't go for the most popular contractor for cloud computing. Go for one that works for your facility. Number 8, evaluate your applications to identify those that fit the cloud. So know what you need in order for your facility to function. Number 9, select an application to test out the cloud. So make sure that you test out the cloud for your facility before actually implementing it to make sure it's what you want and it will work for you. Number 10, plan the migration. You want to do this beforehand and let all employees know so that everything goes as smooth as possible. Number 11, migrate the application to the cloud. So that's the final step so that you can have everything in there that you want it to be, even if you are going to have a separate location to keep those maybe physical copies. So contract considerations that you want to look for, you want to look at the security controls that will ensure privacy. Healthcare data must be protected to prevent data breaches and identity theft. Also look at where the data will be stored. Other countries have different laws pertaining to privacy and data ownership. Number 3, data recovery procedures and data ownership. In the event the cloud service providers goes out of business, organizations must ensure their data are returned and are not sold off to other businesses for data mining. The type of medical information to be stored. So what are you storing? Certain file types such as images can consume large volumes of data storage and may cost more to store than a document. So are you able to store these images? Do you have the budget to store these images in order to have all that space? Bandwidth and connection speed required to connect to the cloud. So all users, especially busy physicians and clinicians, will get frustrated if the system takes too long to retrieve this data. So can your bandwidth and connection speed function properly in order to get to the information quickly? Or do you need to bump up that bandwidth and connection speed in order to have the cloud? So the last slide is any questions. Please feel free to comment or email to ask any questions. Thank you for listening.
Hi everyone, it's Raylin again. I just wanted to show you guys the handout we had prepared for the face-to-face presentation. It's actually just some pros and cons of cloud computing that we pulled off the HEMA website. Some pros were the cost, the elasticity, access, and disaster planning and backup. Some of the cons were also the cost, performance, reliance on the internet, and privacy and security. We covered all of these in the presentation itself, but just thought it'd be a nice little handout for you guys to take. Thanks again for watching and listening.